Greetings, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. I did not get a chance to do one this morning, so I'm going to do a couple this evening. This is late this evening. It's about -6 here without the wind chill factor in the Midwest. It was like -10 this morning, so this is my kind of weather. I had to be outside. I had to take my son to work at about 4:30. It was nice and cool, my friends. Nice and cool, Warriors. And came home, took my two big dogs out, and we're kind of moving along in the day. They got a little bit warmer. I think it was -1 at some point, so now it's back to -6. So I'm gonna do a couple of these, and hopefully we can kind of knock a couple out before we get to Christmas here. And by the way, I will try to do one tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll get one done on Christmas Day, but I'll wish you guys a Merry Christmas tomorrow when I do one tomorrow. All right, so today we'll do one, and then I'll try to do a second one here while I'm in the car. But let's go to Jackie Chan a little bit. Jackie, shout out to you, my friend. Today's episode, we're going to talk about technology and semen retention. I'm going to turn down the heater in this car a little bit. Very good heater, and I want to turn it down so I can talk a little bit. Jackie Chan, thank you. Shout out, my friend. This is technology and semen retention. So let's talk about the relationship here. First of all, please go ahead and subscribe, comment, like. Unbelievable responses we're getting, and continue subscriptions, and just continue all the great things that we're doing to try to get this word out. And I know there's lots of people that are very interested in this topic and how we can master ourselves and self-control and be real about these things. You see a lot of fake people in the media portraying themselves as semen retention experts and all this kind of stuff. And you don't have to kind of portray yourself as being some superstar. You got to make sure that you get the job done. And to get a job done means making sure that you're on your purpose. And people know it. People can see it. The attraction level is there. All the benefits are there. Once people see that, then there's no doubt that who you are. And lots of you guys are writing to me and telling me examples of stories that things happen. I could tell you're on retention. Because if you have women reacting to you in a certain way, you have things happening to you, you feel like $1 million in a different world, those type of things, you basically don't experience that when you're releasing all the time. And so it's just a dead giveaway that you guys are great warriors. And I try to comment to some people when I see that, especially when I notice that you guys are moving ahead with retention and getting some great benefits, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel proud that we're getting things done on this channel, and some people are kind of taking the information and making their lives better, and that's the whole purpose of what we're doing here. So once again, please kind of give me your feedback. I have a lot of ideas from this week that I have to get to. I'll try to get to those right after Christmas, and maybe do one on on Monday next week, and try to continue the shout outs for the new year coming up. All right, so technology and semen retention. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit, and kind of see where we can go with this idea. So as we talk about retention, we know that the key thing is energy. Now, we've talked about this in many different ways, but semen retention really means you are controlling your own energy inside of yourself. You're not freely just giving it up for no purpose at all. That's really what we're talking about. We're talking about self-discipline. We're talking about self-control. We're talking about the fact that you can sit there and look at a picture, at a woman, and not just jump at that person, not lose control because your instincts, that you can't control your instincts, you're letting them control you. That's kind of what we're really talking about here. And if you can master that basic level of control, that power you have, and let's face it, the reason why men are men is because of that power you have. You have that energy inside you. All men have it. It's just a matter of using it, and first understanding it and using it in a way where you can transmute it. This is, I think, the difference in the ages, what's happened over the years, where people can master it. I read first about this in the book by Napoleon Hill that we talked about, Think and Grow Rich. I believe it's chapter 9, talking about the use of that sexual energy, transmuting a sexual energy. When you're younger, a lot of men, including myself, waste a lot of that energy, whether it's chasing women around or it's releasing to pictures and all kinds of other things. and we waste that energy. Remember, we're visual creatures, and so it's easy to waste the energy when you're getting stimulated by that. Now, when you get a little bit older, and he says between the ages of 40 and 60, you start becoming very successful, and you can learn how to control this. It took me a little bit longer. I'm into my 60s now, but I understand what he was saying. And basically he was saying that you have to be able to control this into yourself and transmute it out. And I know somebody kind of asked me in a recent comment on trying to show ways to do that. I think I'll go back to that in one of the episodes coming up, and how to do that more, and how do we transmute that energy when we have it. And my famous one, of course, is holding, when you get excited like that, holding one nostril and breathing in on the other one, and then breathing and switching it and breathing out. And this way, what you do is you're bringing air to up by your brain, and I believe your brain then sends a message, says, okay, let's dissipate this down there, let's break it down and bring it back up. And so you're breathing up and then breathing out, and you're getting this information away. And in the meantime, you're not thinking about that arousal anymore. You're changing the arousal, and you're changing it back and bringing it back into your own system. So but now, how does technology influence this? Well, let's talk about this, because we know that back in, until we started having internet, and still we started having television, radio had a little bit, but really when you talk about radio, you're using your imagination. So a lot of people, if they were releasing back then, which I'm sure they were, because this has been around for thousands of years in one form or another, they're just using their imagination. But once you start seeing pictures, all of a sudden your mind changes, and now you look at the pictures and almost kind of vicariously live with those people within those pictures. And this is why you end up releasing by certain pictures you look at. The technology aspect has made it so much more apparent and prevalent in our world that you can't really avoid it. Unless you're not really paying attention, which is what I've kind of done. I kind of live I watch the computers once in a while. I watch for stories and different things that are happening, keep up with the news and the alternative type of news as I see. I don't listen to that ridiculous stuff that's on the internet or on television anymore. I try to look and research news myself and figure out what's really happening when I see stories. So I don't really pay attention to a lot of the advertisements and things like that. Now, once in a while, because I like professional football, even though I think it's kind of gone downhill a little bit over the years in many ways, I still try to follow it. And I try to avoid the commercials and things like that whenever I do watch those type of things. But I try to avoid those situations where you can go ahead and see a lot of those type of pictures. They will pop up on your phone. They will pop up on the internet. They pop up all the time, because that's the purpose. They want to draw you in. They want to draw you into those sites. They want to draw you into those type of things, to kind of see those things and look at those type of things and draw you in more and more. And you're not going to be donating money to pictures and all those type of things. And this is how those type of things start. This is why strip clubs and those things are still very popular with people, for men especially. Women just don't have that same visual look that men do. They look at a lot of different types of things, and especially in their 20s and 30s, you don't see a lot of women at these type of places. You may see them in their 50s, when it's a very ironic type of thing, because the sexual drive of women become a lot stronger when they're in their late 40s and 50s, especially when they're done with their periods and things like that. But when the thing is that, back in 30s and 20s, you don't see as much of that. Of course, because what you're looking for is men and women to look at things differently. And men have that visual type of look, and they will see things a lot more like that. And so the technology is a lot more influential on males when they're younger than females, in my opinion at least. And so when you're looking at this, the whole idea then of having intercourse and having all these fantasies are things that we have to be careful of. Now, as Jackie Chan points out, the technology is a very influential thing on us. I mean, I try, and sometimes at my classes, to try to get students to, put their phones away for 10, 15 minutes, and it's almost like you're asking the impossible, right? Some people can't put it away for maybe a minute before they have to have it in front of them to look at. And we become so addicted to this in our society that is really our identity, that phone. And a lot of times that's hurting the relationships people have in communication wise, but beyond that, it's hurting them in many other types of ways as well, as far as trying to logically think. And I also think the phones, especially at night, affect your sleeping, and all the things that are emitting from that phone, I think is not helping you sleep, or I don't think it helps you beneficial at all most of the day. I think I think it has its purposes, of course, and I have one. Obviously, I'm using it for this, but I think the thing is, you have to make sure that you're using it in a way where you're using it as a tool, not as something that's a lifeline type of thing. And so we go back to this technology thing, and this is very important to note, because we did the one a couple days ago, or I'm losing track of days here, but we did one, I think maybe even yesterday. It was talking about the idea that, yeah, it was yesterday, the price you pay when it comes to semen retention. And so one of the prices you pay is the fact that you're not living in the physical world. The people who live in the physical world get very strongly influenced by the media. They get influenced by their phone, by the internet, Twitter, all these different things influencing you all the time. And especially the younger generations. Obviously, I'm 61, so to me, I'm not part of that generation, but we do have a lot of people in my generation who still are addicted to the phones and addicted to the internet and things like that. Facebook used to be the big addiction. It may still be, I'm not sure. But the thing is that you're still looking at people who are addicted to social media and the technology. And though the technology can help you, what happens in many cases, and I remember a lot of these old science fiction movies back in the 50s where the technology actually took control of the people. They were built technology, great advances in different types of things, but eventually it takes over the people. And you can see this happening in lots of different things we've seen over the years. You have to look at the fact that we can do this at night with a light bulb. One of the innovations that happened is light bulb, and we get dictated. A lot of our life goes based on lighting and electric and those type of things, and phones and all these type of things. All these are technologies that affected us over the years and have sometimes, in our cases, start to dominate people, and they become actually the rulers of the person. And this is where you have the problem with releasing and all these other things, because now you're not in control, or let me put it this way, you allow the technology to take control. And the technology kind of overrules you. You have to get the newest phone, you have to get the newest internet, computer, things like that. You're living basically in the technology world. And this is even more prevalent when we talk about AIs and new things coming along, when computers start looking like people. And when it happens, all of a sudden now, those people start taking over, and all of a sudden now you have even more technology ruling things. And I remember a lot of these science fiction comic books and movies I saw from the 1950s. They all depicted this type of thing, that it's great to have this great technology, but at some point human beings end up being taken over by the technology. And it's an amazing type of prognostic prediction, but it does happen a lot. And you see this happening with the internet. And the internet is just something that people just become addicted to, and now they can't have it. So when you become addicted to something, it gains control of you. I don't care if it's drugs, I don't care if it's sex, I don't care it's gambling, whatever it might be. So we kind of go back to the whole premise that Jackie Chan was talking about here, and I want to make sure that I got this right. But yeah, what Jackie's talking about is the idea that you're talking about, really, you want to go ahead and use technology as a tool. And there's nothing wrong with using technology as a tool. That's something that's really important, because you're going to have advances and things that are going to make things much better for you. But in the long run, you have to still be in charge. It is a tool. And whether you're talking about pictures on the internet, I don't care if you're talking about actual phone use, things you have to take control of this, saying, okay, I'm going to use this tool in certain ways. I'm going to use this in ways that's going to help me better my goals and my purposes, but I'm not going to allow this thing to overcome me. I'm not going to allow this thing to dictate me, to take control of my life. And if you can't put your phone down for a few minutes and be away from it, then there's an addiction. If you can't turn your computers off And I always like to try to take a day off of the computer every so often myself, because I don't think it's that healthy looking in the crazy computer anyway all the time. And once again, you see my perspective is an older perspective, so I don't need the computer necessarily. If there was other things I could do with it, I would. But the thing is that I see it for what it is. It's a tool to use, almost like a calculator. But I teach a lot of my students that I teach math with, I teach them that you need to know how to do this by hand. You need to know how to do this by hand. You can use a calculator to help, but you can't destroy your fundamentals. And that's what happens, I think, a lot of people with our thinking and our fundamentals. They stay away from the actual ability to think, and now they're replacing that, taking the easy way out with things like pictures and things like that. And guys, when we go back to semen retention, we're talking about taking the easy way out when you're not practicing semen retention. When you're talking about releasing, a lot of people, because they don't want to get in a situation where they're in a relationship with somebody, a live human being, sometimes they take the easy way out and use technology, and sometimes it's all forms of technology, to enhance that situation or create a vicarious situation with something or someone or some picture that replaces the real person. So instead of having a real live relationships, they end up having these pictures. And this is why when they actually meet a woman, some men struggle, warriors struggle, because they can't act the same way as this fantasy, this picture did. And so instead of just taking every person in face value and kind of have a relationship with them, they're choosing to go elsewhere outside of that. Now, I understand with the MGTOW movement, all that's happening, but don't get to the point where you're not appreciating women for what they can provide, as long as they're high quality women. If you have high quality women, then don't go to the pictures. I would not go to the pictures anyway, but if you have to, avoid those pictures, avoid those type of things, avoid the technology that's going to create that type of problem for you, because it can be very addicting. And that's the thing you have to look at. This is why it's important to establish relationships with people. And it doesn't mean that you have to have intercourse with every woman you meet. But the bottom line really is you want to establish relationships and learn how to communicate with women. And understand, there's going to be women in your life that are going to be positive, and there's going to be women that are going to be negative. But again, your ability to retain is going to draw a lot of people to you, especially women. And you're going to have to make those kind of choices on which women to communicate with and not. But the thing you don't want to do is spend all that time, building up your energy just to lose it to a picture, or lose it to some kind of technology that's showing a picture that looks real, or looks like something that's happening. You don't want to do that, because you have really wasted your opportunity to become a stronger person, and you've wasted the opportunity to kind of make a lot of positive type inroads as you go along. So the idea about technology, my friends, it's a tool. And I think Jackie, once again, a shout out to Jackie Chan. You make a great point, Jackie. We need to make sure we're aware this technology is not a good thing if used the wrong way. If you use it the right way as a tool, then you can have some success with it. But remember, you are owner of the technology. The technology does not own you. And when people get addicted to things, sooner or later they fall victim of this kind of dichotomy that they have to deal with. Don't be dependent on the technology, because technology will take you over then at that point. So, okay, my friends, hope this helps. I'm going to do another one in a second here. I think that Amy had one on looking better with semen retention, so we'll do that one in a couple minutes. Until next time, my friends, God bless each and every one of you, and every day is a new day to a wise warrior. God bless you guys, and battle on!